Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Creator's Mind. We are on episode 3 now, and today's topic is where does game design start? So, that's a pretty good question because you think right off the bat, you're just like, well, I'm just going to design a game, and some people might think it starts with artwork. Some people might think, hey, maybe it should start with a story, like we covered last episode. Other people said we should start with game mechanics. There's a lot of different points where you think that game design really starts. But when you really look at the concept phase of designing a game, it's like a web of a lot of moving pieces. But I think the best part about game design is that it's fresh, it's new, it's exciting. It's kind of like the early parts of a new relationship. Everything is just like bubbly and awesome. But when you really get into the meat and potatoes and start putting the nose to the grindstone kind of thing and really look at where does true game design start, honestly, it starts with passion and hustle. And I think those can't be understated anymore. Like everyone's gonna say, yeah, creators got passion, and they got that drive, that determination. They have all these ideas. They're passionate. No one's gonna be more passionate than you, right? No one is gonna have as much skin in the game. No one's gonna be as more passionate than the creator of the game, because it's their baby, right? It's their brainchild. It's everything that they want to bring out to the world, and I think that is what people confuse in the beginning as passion. But passion is very different in game design because you have to set boundaries for yourself. You have to set parameters, and I think that when you really look at core game design, just like movies and television, like almost everything, if not everything, has already been done. Everything has already been created, so it's not a matter of reinventing the wheel or trying to find something that no one else has ever done. You need to take the facets of things that have succeeded and learn from the things that failed, ultimately. And I think that the passion needs to come from your willingness to adapt, to understand where it is you're starting and your ultimate end goal, and every stage in between is to tackle it and attack it with a viewpoint of it needs to be better than it already is. People don't like to hear that. Creators don't like to hear that. They don't like to think that I got this awesome thing, everyone's gonna love it because I love it. No. Game design starts with the passion of high emotion, understanding how to keep those emotions in check, and understanding how to roll with the feedback that you're given. You can be passionate but also be sensible. You can be passionate but also forgiving and understanding. Because no matter how good or how passionate or how much you push your game, if people are not going to like it because of your approach, maybe you're too aggressive, if the game design aspect, the mechanics, the artwork, if it relates your passion but also speaks to people, that is huge. And then when you look at hustle, now you think hustle is boots to the ground, push, grow a community. We're talking about the basic fundamentals of game design and where it starts. And the hustle is everything outside of your game. The hustle is learning, constantly educating yourself, learning from the past games, what has succeeded, what has failed. Just like I mentioned with the aspect of passion, is the fact that being a student of the game, being a student of the industry, and being a student of your clientele, knowing your demographic, knowing your target audience, and learning the things that they want, that they like, that they don't like, and doing that hustle. Like working another job, working full time, working a second job, while doing this on the side. Like there is so many aspects to that hustle. And it's not just because you got to make money to pay for your artwork, to produce your product, but it's also the hustle in terms of learning. There is so much information out there, and ultimately you don't want to be a Magic-like game. A game that says when people sit down and play it, and they're like, oh, this is like Magic. Well, why am I not just playing Magic? So game design starts with that hustle of understanding I don't gotta be better than everyone else. I just have to be the best I can be and give people what they want and be able to understand and take feedback and how to push it forward. And there's a lot of work that goes into not only game startup and game design before you even get into the mechanics. You know, to trying to get hammered out what kind of cardstock you're going to use. What kind of finish varnish are you going to use? Are you printing in RGB? Are you printing in CMYK? Is your foils going to be masked foils? Are there going to be spot foils? What is the card density? Is the card have the right flick? How is there the proper cut and collation? What kind of core are you going to use in your card? Right? Then you also look at like UI, the user interface. How is the card going to present? How do you want it to flow? Right? These are all things before you even look at the actual game mechanics. This is just looking at the game design, right? Because if you don't have a aesthetically pleasing card, regardless of artwork, if it doesn't present well, people are going to be like, not so sure about it. Now, it's one of the things we face early on in Legions is the fact that our card design, our user interface is vastly different than a lot of other games. Now, have we heard feedback from that? For sure. And for the most part, genuinely people still really like the cards. But yes, when you look at it, it's a little outside the norm. I think I covered that in one of our behind the scenes videos about inside the mind and the user interface. But the aspects of game design, it's not just the game. It's not just the mechanics. It's the aspects of, and this is where it still results in hustle and passion, because you're also looking at the boxes, how the boxes are designed, how they're laid out, the packs, how many cards come in the pack, how many packs come in a box, what is your ratio, what is your total set size. Then if you're looking at, in our case, we have 8 legions, so how are we going to distribute card rarity through those 8? How are we going to distribute playability through those 8? How many legions are they going to get an equal amount of cards? Is some legions going to get more than others? Then we also have bounty realm cards or colorless like in other games. How many of those are going to be included in the set? Is that going to throw off the balance of the booster box and the pack opening experience? And ultimately, what do people want to open in their packs? Is it going to be truly random? Is there going to be aspects of getting one of each legion across your pack and then 2 random slots? What cards are going to come foil? What are going to be your max chase cards? Is that based on artwork? Is that based on characters? Is that based on card design? Right? There's a lot of aspects of just the overall game design, and I think that when people think of game design, they immediately go to the game. They immediately go to the mechanics, the principles of how their game is different. And don't get me wrong, that is extremely important to the game design. But there's so much more under that umbrella of design that I think often gets overlooked, and rightfully so, I guess, because the consumer doesn't really care so much about that. They do, but they don't care about how it happens. They care about the finished product. How does it present on a shelf? Is it something that looks like awesome and I want to buy it? Is it something I want to open? Is it something I want to crack open and share with my friends through video or in person, right? Did I get a good pull ratio in my packs? What are the box hits? What are the case hits? Those are the elements of game design that immediately impact the player and the collector and the stores, and that doesn't even touch the game mechanics, right? So I think game design and game mechanics are pretty clearly different in this situation, and you gotta have the passion to push it through, because like I mentioned before, you gotta love it because it doesn't love you back. And there's a tremendous amount of moving parts. There's, hammering down the production facility, and like I said before, all the little aspects of down to even the card stock that you use. Like, there's a lot that goes into that game design, and that's without even touching mechanics. When you get into mechanics, it opens up so many other things, right? And I already made reference to, is it a Magic-like game, right? Is it a Yu-Gi-Oh like game? Is it a Pokemon like game? Because you can't ignore the fact that the big three are ever present, right? And some would argue that there's other games that are pushing up into that big four, but ultimately each one of those games basically have a defined lane. And what I refer to as a lane is that I think Magic is in their own lane, Pokemon's in their own lane, and Yu-Gi-Oh's in their own lane. So where in your game design, which lane do you belong in? And that's another key thing when you're looking at the start of a game design. Because are my boxes going to present like Magic boxes? Or are my cards going to present like Pokemon cards? Is the game mechanics going to present like Yu-Gi-Oh? Like, those are the different aspects, and those are the different lanes. And I think that this game design topic could go on for multiple episodes. But it's just, these are some of the things I wanted to kind of scratch the surface here, only in episode 3. And I think that going forward, this is definitely something we're going to revisit. But remember, when it comes to where does game design start, it starts with passion and hustle. And I think that those two things can correlate into so much more, and it expands bigger under that umbrella. Continue to be a student, continue to learn, and continue to grow, because everyone changes, the game industry changes, the economy, the market changes around you. And if you don't have that passion to keep gritting your teeth and going through it, and you don't have that hustle that's willing to keep up with the changes and the constant curveballs that are going to be thrown at you through this business endeavor, whether it's in card game design or in life. So when you look at it, where does game design start? It starts at the base root. Creators got to have passion on all different levels and has to present it well. And then you have to have the hustle to get it there. And keep learning, keep moving forward, keep your head up. So anyways, this was a little bit of a longer episode, but this was episode 3 of Inside the Creator's Mind. Where does game design start? I think we scratched the surface, but we're definitely going to have to revisit the aspects of game design, and we'll further talk about game mechanics and such as well. But we got a diverse and big rabbit hole to jump down here. And we'll see you on the next episode. But until then, thanks for coming out. We appreciate your time. And we'll see you on another episode of Inside the Creator's Mind. Later, guys.